RTV6 Sports, live at Palomino Restaurant downtown. This is Horseplay.
Hey, it is here, isn't it? Christmas time. Decorations are up here at Palomino, ready to go. Is it that time of year? I mean, I guess Thanksgiving I can do, and then I guess this is the inevitable thing after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You put up the Christmas. Are you guys ready to go for Christmas?
But I was in the mall like November 1st, and they're playing Christmas songs. You just want to say, Thanksgiving, let's get to this holiday before we get to that holiday.
So if you're not ready by now, then you're pretty much
you're
screwed,
pretty much
then, is what you're
screwed.
saying.
I'm not that bad.
Great to have you, everybody. Welcome to week 13 of Horseplay. We are live at Palomino. The great Jim Sorgi, the great Mike Chappell. Michael Grady is going to Skype in a little bit later, and we're going to talk about what this is all about. California Almonds. Our friend Jeff Saturday, former Colt. Is he in the Ring of Honor yet? I'm trying to think.
He is not yet. I think they're.
It's inevitable, though, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think
there's got to be a pecking order of Tarek Glenn, maybe, and I mean we'll see how that works.
Well, I'm wondering if they're waiting to put that bulk of players that played all together in at one time.
That'd be kind of cool.
You know, have them all come back at one time.
You mean like the offensive line, or are you talking about a lot of guys all at once, like Dallas Clark?
Does Dallas make it, you think?
I don't know. You got to be careful. You got to be careful who you put up there, because there's probably a name or two up there that I would probably take a chisel to and replace.
Like?
Nah, I'm not going to go there.
I would love to hear this.
Perhaps the soon-to-be former coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Jim Harbaugh.
Really?
Captain Comeback?
His career record is like 20-26 as a starter. He had a year and a half that was special. And that team almost, probably could have won the Super Bowl that year, but it was such a small window that.
I think you have to consider the time that all of this was happening.
No question. The 12th man, really?
So we were reaching at that point, is what you're saying?
Well, but there was a time that.
Yes, they were reaching.
They were reaching, but they were looking for guys.
Right.
And Billy Brooks. I love Billy Brooks, but I'm not sure looking back on it now. Given his career, it certainly has a different perspective now, I think, does it not?
Yeah, it doesn't. And they're probably running into now is all these guys. We're talking about Dallas Clark.
Right.
Well, previously he'd have been a no-brainer.
No doubt.
But now you've got to get Freeney, Massa,
Right.
and Reggie will be in there.
But you kind of got to draw the line, otherwise you'd be putting that whole team up in the
right.
Ring of Honor.
And then it diminishes everybody that's in there. So that's really an elite. It's like the Hall of Fame, where there's a lot of guys that are pretty good, but they're not Hall of Famers, and that you got to be careful with the Ring of Honor.
It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of the really good.
Right.
So, yeah.
But the thing with Dallas, I think he was kind of in that first group of tight ends that are doing what the tight ends are doing today, and he didn't have the size and the stature, so he was kind of on the first wave of that, kind of exploiting it to the NFL.
Yeah.
So I mean, that could be a reason to put him up there. He had some phenomenal numbers in games too.
Speaking of tight ends, let's get right to it. The score yesterday, 49-27, as the Colts got it done. As they've now won 2 in a row. They improved their record to 8-4. Daniel Boom. They're not booing. They're chanting boom.
There were boos, though.
But there were some boos for the other running back, though, yesterday, Trent Richardson. But look at the numbers for Kobe Fleener, the tight end we was talking about in the segue here, and Dante Moncrief. 261 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns between the two. Total plays. I thought this was interesting. Total plays.
Yeah.
The Colts had 49 total plays on offense, and they scored 42. You give the defense the other 7 off the DeQuell Jackson touchdown. That's some output there. You know what I'm saying?
And it's totally different than what we've been doing all year. And all year we've been kind of chewing up that clock, time of possession, long drives. Yesterday it was boom, 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 boom. I mean, dropping bombs on them, 73,
Literally,
79.
boom, boom, boom.
Well, we were talking before we went on air about this. Was similar to, I can't remember what year it was. In Miami, they had the ball for like 17 minutes. Fewest ever in a win, but it was always 3 plays, 80 yards, 3 plays, 68 yards. And that's what this was yesterday. Washington was so bad, you didn't have to drive the ball. It's incredible how you had you guys running wide open. And Andrew missed a couple. He had Kobe.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the drop. I'm talking about the one, it was a 3rd down play.
Yeah.
I don't know, 60, 70 yards, and he just barely overthrew him.
Yeah. Let's talk about the drop. Let's get the white elephant out of the room
right
now. Let's just talk about it. I liken one of these to sometimes it's too easy. You know?
Let me tell you a story.
And even Dallas Clark did the same thing when he was playing too. He made the easy catches look hard and the hard catches look easy.
And let me tell you, as a quarterback, it's the same way when you're throwing it to a wide open guy. I remember a time in college, I rolled out, and I had Lee Evans was my wide receiver. I don't know if you know the name.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the name.
Wide open down the right sidelines. I threw it like 10 yards into the stands, and I'm talking wide open. Like I didn't even have to. I could have just kind of shoved it out, you know. I threw it 10 yards in the stands, and I came back to the he's like,
what was that? What was that?
Yeah. So I can understand where Colby's come from. So wide open, it's like you're trying, like a catching a punt almost, and it just.
Yeah.
We talked to Reggie, and I said, have you ever dropped one that easy? He said, no. But he said, my mind flashed back to the Super Bowl against the Bears, and they botched coverage, and he's wide open.
Wide open.
National, world stage, and he said, you just don't want to drop it.
Yes.
So, but to have that's 2 touchdowns Kobe's dropped this year. Remember, he had one in Jacksonville that he was.
Well, you go from I'm going to catch it to, oh my God, just don't drop it.
Right.
It's just the mindset is so.
There's too much time to think about it. All of a sudden, you start thinking too much, and.
But then, well, I think what was really cool
is the power of negative thinking is what it is.
Exactly.
They come right back to the next 2 passes are to Kobe Fleener. Well, I think one picks up the 3rd down.
One picks up the 1st down, and then the play action across the field.
So and again, that's a trust factor. I guess maybe they figured he can't drop another one like that. But to come back, and he even said it was important to come back and show the confidence in him.
Yeah. Well, for luck too. When luck makes mistakes.
That's what he said. I said, do you ever, yell at the guy? He said, no, I've done enough bonehead things on my own. And he has. So when you start, pointing fingers and throwing stones, it comes back and haunts you real quick.
Well, he had another penalty yesterday. He's trying to run out of the pocket and just gets rid of the ball. All of a sudden, that's a flag. It's intentional grounding.
Well, really smart play to try to get rid of the ball, but he has to remember he's got to get it beyond
outside
the
line
of scrimmage.
He's got to get the line of scrimmage.
He's got to get the ball beyond the original line
that's
of
what it
scrimmage.
was.
That's what it was. And so he was close to being down in general while he was getting pulled down, but he didn't have enough strength to get it. I think it was about a yard short of the original line of scrimmage.
Let's go to the Skype lines. Our Michael Grady is standing by, and certainly he was there at the game yesterday. He wrapped up his radio show as well on 1070 The Fan. Grady and Big Joe show. Great to see you, my friend. What were your thoughts on yesterday, and what was the buzz on the radio lines?
Well, for me, Dave, it was, we talked a few weeks ago after the New England game, and there was obviously disappointment after that game, and knowing that if you want to win a championship, you have to beat your Denvers, you have to beat your New Englands. And so what could change over the course of these next few weeks to make you feel like you could beat a New England or a Denver, particularly on the road? And I think the Colts have added a couple of new wrinkles. One being Dante Moncrief. When you face New England, they took T.Y. Hilton out of the game, and Moncrief wasn't used. He's emerging as a real player that'll be tough to deal with, along with the way Kobe Fleener has played the past few weeks as well, despite the drop. And so Fleener's emergence, and he played well in that New England game, plus Moncrief as a new wrinkle that's a tough cover. There just aren't enough DBs to cover all the weapons that the Colts have. And then Boom Herron also. Ahmad Bradshaw going down, that hurt. But the way Boom is playing, the explosion that he's getting when he gets the football, we were joking about Trent Richardson. It's almost like that cartoon that the feet get going, but it's really not going anywhere just yet. And then he finally gets going. When Boom gets the football, it's 0 to 100. And so that's a completely different dynamic as far as the running game is concerned. And so for those 2 areas, I feel good that they have some added weapons on the offensive end that could provide a real difference once this team gets there.
Fans are just getting a sense, I think, of who Dante Moncrief is. Rookie, outstanding player, obviously. What is he like, though, when you talk to him? What's the vibe you get?
Very quiet kid. Quiet confidence. And I think that's what you want in a receiver, a young receiver.
Especially a rookie, yeah.
He's just kind of sitting back and learning. And
he's also...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say he's a sponge, is exactly what you're saying, right. Chappie. He's a sponge. He's really learning and absorbing all that he can from Reggie Wayne and T.Y. Hilton. Yeah, obviously terrific wide receivers and really good guys to learn from. Some guys, wide receivers especially, I know you know this, Chappie, and you too, Sorgi, that guys feel like they know it all. Wide receivers, I know what I'm doing. I'm that guy. But he really wants to learn and is taking his time.
And they've had a few guys here that had the talent, young guys, and they didn't get it. Again, they put Levon Brazil down by Reggie's locker 2 years ago, or last offseason, and it just didn't work. But this kid, I think he understands that, hey, I'm pretty good, but I've got so much to learn. He's next to Reggie in the meetings. He's always asking questions. Same with T.Y. That's why the dynamics of this group is really, really good. You've got Hakeem next. He's not contributing much on the field. I hope he's doing stuff off the field, but Reggie's helping these guys sort of to take his place. in a year or two. I think
grooming
that's
them, yes.
no question. That's what Marvin did with Reggie.
Well, I was going to say, it's the Reggie Wayne factor now. Marvin did the same thing to Reggie, now Reggie's passing it down to the next guys.
It's paying it forward, and not all players do that, I don't think. I remember going back with, was it Green Bay and Brett Favre, where it was kind of clear that he wasn't doing a whole lot to help Aaron Rodgers other than playing a watchmate. It was kind of like, watch how I do this, kid.
Right.
But when you've got Reggie that does, he goes out of his way and he'll help these guys. That's what's invaluable to keep things going.
Well, you got to have a guy willing to pass it down, and then you got to have the guy underneath willing to soak it all in. And I think we have gotten real lucky with that with T.Y. and Dante, that they're willing to sit back and learn and then let the game kind of evolve and come to them rather than go out there and try to force it. And you can see, I mean, Dante, he is a quiet guy, but you can see his kind of personality come out on the field. I mean, his touchdown dances, you just see him just kind of burst out on the field. And you got guys that kind of show that. They're real quiet off the field, but when the game lights are shining, I mean, they're a different kind of breed.
Grady, what is that touchdown dance that Dante's doing?
That's a good question. I asked on the radio today, and I got snap the wrist. I got the worm. I've got Ravishing Rick Rude dance. I've got about 6 different responses from folks. So I haven't quite nailed it down just yet. But he said that he did it the first time, and guys were ribbing him because it wasn't good enough. And so he tried it again the second time, and so maybe he perfected it.
He's got to take it up a notch then. Is that
There
what
you go.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go to get to Billy White Shoe Johnson, but I mean that's a whole nother level there. So what do you think about this week? I mean, looking ahead to Washington, we're going to do so a little bit later, but you know, watching what happened in Buffalo yesterday, and then all of a sudden they throw in the Johnny Manziel issue, and then you know, this is like Washington 2.0 all of a sudden.
It's almost reaching for the panic button. Because when we were talking, when you do this, let's say they go to Manziel this week, how do you go back to Hoyer? I don't know that you can.
That's
so,
the question.
and it's pretty precarious when you're that close. Hoyer's won 7 games this year. Now he's been not very good. The last 5 interceptions, no touchdowns the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, really bad against bad teams too.
And that's where a team that's sort of fragile as far as scoring, you can have mistakes. But if you go to Manziel, he's going to give you the wow factor. But is it going to give you what you want to get done this year? And,
is he going to give you the wins? And,
right.
You know, the fact is, you got Hoyer coming out after the game saying, this is still my team. And then you got the coach saying, I'll make a decision by Wednesday.
There's a lot of mixed messages.
And Manziel saying, boy, the guys are behind me. I mean, I don't see a lot of warm and fuzz between the quarterbacks. Maybe, I don't know how it is, you know, in other places, but when you've got one guy saying, this is my team, the other guy says, well, they really, you know, they're behind me.
Right.
You got to wonder how the dynamic.
When you got a clear-cut starter in front of a backup, like in my situation, there was no way that was going to happen. It works out because I was going to do whatever I had to do to help him and help the team. Now you got 2 guys saying, hey, that could be my job. I could be the guy. You're not helping. I'm sure you're not helping too. You're out too much.
Ted Marchibroda is one of his best sayings. If you've got 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. So, and that, if you make the move in Cleveland, be prepared for maybe the short term not being what you want. And again, they're right there in the playoff picture. You may be looking long term, but you can't forget the short term because who knows what happens next year. You've got to take care of business now.
But going to Washington, I thought we had a better chance of winning that game, even though I thought our chances really well with RG3
out there.
Oh, I feel this with Cleveland, we have a better chance of winning that game with Johnny Manziel playing than we do Brian Hoyer.
That's interesting. I didn't think McCoy, Grady, I didn't think Colt McCoy did anything to embarrass himself at all yesterday. And in fact, you can make the argument he's the future at that position for the Redskins.
Yeah. Again, as the game went on, he found a rhythm, was able to hit open guys, and was able to keep RG3 on the sidelines. The way the game started, you thought RG3 may actually see some snaps. That's how bad the offense was for Washington early on. But he found a rhythm and he got going. As far as Cleveland is concerned, you guys mentioned the stat already. I mean, it may seem like panic time or whatnot, but when your starting quarterback has no touchdowns and 5 interceptions in back-to-back games, what are you doing? I mean, what do you have to lose by going with Johnny Manziel? Brian Hoyer has not been getting it done lately. And his stats, the games prior to that, the 2 games prior to that, weren't stellar either. He's a safe quarterback. He's not going to win you games with his arm. They hand the football off in Cleveland. That's what they do. And Johnny gives them an extra dynamic with his legs. If he can secure the football as best as possible, don't turn over the football at the rate that Brian Hoyer was, they may be okay, or they can't be any worse than what they were with Hoyer at quarterback the last couple of weeks. So I think it'll be really interesting. But as the Colts defense is concerned, you should be taking a rookie quarterback's lunch money when he's He's playing his first game as a starter.
yeah.
So they should be able to take advantage of it either way.
They got to approach just like in a very business-like way, I think. Just like Jacksonville game, just like yesterday, you got to go in and take care of business in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a completely different ball game. Cleveland's got some talent all around the quarterback position. Their offensive line, their running backs, receivers, defensively, they're phenomenal. You go to Washington yesterday, they were banged up coming into the game. They lost guys during the game. It wasn't like our receivers were getting open. It was bad defense. They were miscommunications. T.Y. taking two guys on one route, leaving guys wide open. And you're not going to get that against Cleveland. They have some sound players around in other positions.
The best was the DB that was chasing down Dante Moncrief, and finally at the 10-yard line, he just throws up his hands like, I can't do it.
Or I thought you had him or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Whenever they're saying, I thought you, that's when you're in trouble. And that was like 3 or 4 times yesterday.
Yeah, T.Y. runs a post route. You got both the corner and the safety going with T.Y., and then the linebacker and Kobe runs a wheel route. He's wide open, catches the ball, tucks it inside the pylon. I mean, that's how it was all day.
All right, Grady, thanks so much, man. It sounds like Chuck Pagano's talking at 4 o'clock today. You're going to have all that and more beginning on the news at 5, right?
Yep, absolutely. We'll have that and a lot of good stuff. Maybe even some bowling from the players later on tonight at 11.
That's right. T.Y. Hilton's got a big bowling event. So thanks a lot, buddy. Have a good day.
Hey, fellas.
All right, Michael Grady
You got it.
joining us on the Skype lines this afternoon. So, this, and he touched on it, this team has a lot going for it. It's still not, though, at the elite level. You watch the Patriots and the Packers yesterday on CBS.
Super Bowl preview.
It could very well be that when it's all said and done.
The
Your
issue,
prediction, Jeff?
I think, well, right now, it's subject to,
Debate, change.
The only issue I've got, and I might write about it tomorrow, is that the big plays were the big talk yesterday, but do you have some kind of methodical running game? Because you're going to play the important games in bad weather, probably. Right. And that's my only question is, can you, if you have to, if they're not, the Patriots are not going to blow assignments like Washington did. You're not going to have 5 or 6 plays of 30 yards or more. Can you, if you have to, really hunker down,
grind it out,
and grind it, and play like the Colts did in the 2006 season with Kansas City? The Baltimore game was a perfect
5
example.
Field goals.
And you just played tough. Can they do that? I don't know. I need to see that, because you're not going to throw 5 touchdowns, 400 yards. Right. In the major games, I don't think. But that's the only concern I've got moving forward.
Here's the crazy thing. You go back to the Super Bowl team, I mean, and even going into the playoffs, you didn't know what you had.
No.
Same scenario right now. We're not sure what they have.
Well, the defense in that year was playing really bad leading into the playoffs, and then during the playoffs, hallelujah,
it was like they flipped the switch.
But you got Bob Sanders back.
Yeah.
And forgotten that they got Rob Morris back in the mix too at linebacker, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah, he started the whole run. Yeah.
But again, during that stretch, Peyton was really almost an afterthought. It was the running game with Adai and Dominic and the defense.
Let's go inside the numbers. Some very bizarre numbers in yesterday's game. The Colts with 9 games now of over 400 net yards this season. That's a club record. They're the first team to score 6 touchdowns of over 30 yards or more in a single game since 1966. Who's the guy that found this out, by the way? Who did the research on this?
And it was the Redskins.
And it was Washington Redskins, by the way, 1966. T.Y. Hilton surpassing Marvin Harrison for most catches in their first 3 seasons. Again, video game numbers really at the stadium yesterday. Can they improve on this? Or is this the tapes out there, teams can figure out, okay, maybe we can slow this down in some form or fashion?
Well, we've been slowed down at some point during this year.
The Patriots or the Broncos. Certainly.
Yes, but I just think that we're playing teams right now where we can figure it out. We can kind of piece together the pieces of the puzzle, and hopefully then when we start playing the good competition, whether it be the playoffs, whether it be the Cowboys in a couple weeks, we'll have it all figured out and we'll be playing. I felt like at one point of the season we were playing where our offense was playing good, our defense was playing good, and our special teams has been good all year, to be honest with you. Right now we're kind of getting it in spurts from one or the other. During the game. Defense really good opening the game yesterday. Offense really good in the middle of the game. Defense not so good. And towards the end of the game, it was whatever it was. You were up by 20-some points. So I'm glad we're playing the teams we're playing just so we can figure it out right now. So then when we have to kind of string it all together, play a 60-minute game on both sides of the ball, we can get it done.
Well, even struggling out of the gate yesterday with
last 2 weeks.
Ryan Kerrigan coming up with the sack on the first play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
When you're thinking, oh, what's going to happen? But things settle down after that.
Well, but then you get the interception too on the second possession.
Correct.
First 7 plays, right? 2
Right.
turnovers,
5
a
plays,
sack,
yeah.
5 plays,
Yeah.
yeah.
And one thing that I took out of the game, and maybe you've got a different view, but anyone who had any doubt that Vontae Davis isn't the MVP defensively,
I agree with you.
they can't play defense the way they want to do it without Vontae Davis. It just totally screws up the depth and the picking order of your secondary. And does he play this week with the concussion? I don't know, but they need Vontae Davis if they're going to do anything defensively.
How worried should they be with Josh Gordy then? Obviously because they picked on Josh big time after Vontae left the game yesterday.
Was there a spotlight on him? I mean, there was a
Yeah,
bar
directly
about
from
him.
the sideline when he came
It was a
walking
dark
in.
cloud at least. It was
But
like the
again,
character
I mean,
from Peanuts or something.
He gets beat on the one long one or the interception or the interference. Then if he's playing the ball, maybe he intercepts it. It's
Well, the touchdown was a back shoulder.
Right.
He came back to the ball, didn't kind of get his head around, but still, I mean, there was plays where they were just designed to go after him, and him coming in the game kind of gave Deshaun Jackson his game, to be honest with you.
so yeah. I think that's an issue. I like the top three. When Vontae's out there, Toller and Darius Butler is ideal in the slot.
Well, that's what you're going to do. I don't think Josh Gordy starts the game. You're in your base 3-4. Your corners are
Right.
Darius Butler,
throw
Greg
Butler
Toller.
back
But you're
there.
in nickel so much
But you're in
that
nickel
he's going to
so
be out there.
much that when it does happen, I can see them going back to Josh Gordy on the outside. But maybe they'll do that same sort of thing where they kind of go 3 safeties and have Sergio kind of come in and play that nickel spot,
Right.
and then Darius go outside to stick with the corner.
But even
spot.
against the Browns, are you going to be a nickel that much? Do you think?
Well, they got some
A team that's
receivers.
gonna
I
run
mean,
the
Josh
ball?
Gordon's back. Jordan Cameron, you can kind of treat him. I don't know if he's going to be back, but you can kind of treat him as a tight end, like a Dallas Clark, or
Right.
you go nickel to him
Right.
as well.
Right.
Who's their young Hawkins? Is their young wide receiver? He's really good. So they got a lot of playmakers outside.
Monday afternoon quarterback time. Let's take a look at Andrew Luck's numbers from yesterday. I mean, a career afternoon, touchdown-wise anyway, for Luck. 19 of 27, 370 yards, 5 TDs, which is a career high. Fourth Colts quarterback with 5 or more touchdown passes in a game. And joins only Peyton Manning and Dan Marino now to throw over 4,000 yards in their first 3 seasons. Again, you watch this kid develop, and it's just, you shake your head like, wow.
Also, only the third Colts quarterback with 30 touchdowns in the game. You've probably heard of the other two in the season. Unitas.
Would be Unitas and some guy named Peyton.
He jumped up to second. He's only second behind the 49 that Peyton threw in 2000.
Can he get to 49?
Can he get to 49?
He's got 30.
At 33.
He's got 4 games left.
He's on pace for 45. All right.
Well, he's got to average up 4 for most of them, and
Yeah, he won't.
that's so tough right now. I don't know.
Going back to when Peyton had 49, he was well above that average. You're thinking, okay, we projected him out. It was into the mid-50s.
You go back and look at that game or that season. There was a game and a half he basically didn't play.
Right.
Fourth quarter at New Orleans, fourth quarter at Detroit. He had three touchdowns to Marvin and Stokely, and
Fourth quarter to Chicago, fourth quarter Detroit,
On
pretty much the
Thanksgiving.
whole game at Denver at the end of the season.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, but there's another quarterback who threw 2 touchdowns against Denver that day. I don't know who that was, but you know.
the other number
Is
12.
he in
the
the
other
building?
number 12. See, I used to be the number 12, not the other number 12.
Now you're just a number 12.
You're still our number 12. Come on.
That's
Yeah, we
all
can't
right.
get Andrew to come on here. We'll take you.
That's
We'll
all
take
right.
the backup number
There
12.
you go. There you go.
The real number 12. Come on. Just take a look at the AFC standings. And again, we're expecting to hear from Jeff Saturday here momentarily as well. So let us know whenever Seth Keever in the booth. Let us know when Jeff Saturday is standing by. But anyway, take a look at the Colts in the standings right now. And still a game back of New England and Denver. Of course, keep in mind they've got the tie break if it comes to that situation. Who do you like right
I mean,
now?
Denver
out of
found a
this?
running game all of a sudden, and then, I mean, they kind of beat up on Kansas City yesterday in Kansas City, which I didn't think they would do in the cold weather, so that kind of takes that out of there.
Cincinnati now is the class of the North,
I'm not
right?
buying into Cincinnati. I'm not buying
Still?
into Cincinnati.
I mean, 14-13
They
against Tampa.
should have lost yesterday.
Yeah.
There was a 12-man on the field. They would have had a chip
Field
shot
goal
field goal in
try.
Tampa. So
Which was a brilliant call, by the way,
Right.
by Marvin Lewis,
Yep.
which was highly illegal.
Well, he should have been penalized, yes.
Yeah, but
is it an unsportsmanlike? I didn't think it was just you lose it. I thought there was a penalty on it.
There is a
I thought
penalty.
Arians had that.
for
a couple
challenging when you can't
years ago. When
challenge,
you can't
correct?
I thought it was
the
unsportsmanlike or
Jim,
whatever.
Jim Schwartz rule, right, back in Detroit.
Maybe that's what
I
it
mean,
was.
they scored a touchdown,
Right.
and something happened. He threw the challenge flag, but they were going to challenge it anyway because it's a touchdown. They challenge every touchdown. So
To take it a step further, though, if there's no call made, how can you challenge?
well, you call timeout, and then you get their attention because it's got to come from the booth.
What I'm saying, though, if there's no initial flag, there's no penalty there from the officials, how can you challenge anything?
How can you
Does that make it-
challenge
does that
if
make
there were
sense?
12 guys on the field?
Yeah, if there was no
call?
initial call.
You can go back and look at
You
it.
can?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you can. So
They did.
Yes, they did.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
You can go back and look at it, but it was under 2 minutes. It's got to come from the booth. He threw the challenge flag when he should have just called timeout, got the attention
Right.
of the referee, and said, "Listen, there's 12 men on the field. I need you to challenge it." It happened in the Patriots game yesterday. Didn't the defense get called for 12 men? And Bill Belichick went nuts, and they ended up changing the call that would have gave the Packers a first down. They made it 3rd and 1. So it happens.
Let's bring in someone who knows a heck of a lot more about the rules than the three of us.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the phone lines, he is the new spokesman for California Almonds. We welcome to the program the legendary center for the Indianapolis Colts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jeff Saturday. Jeff, how are we doing today?
I love that intro, dude. I'm going to start carrying you with me anywhere I go. I just feel like I should have just walked out like bare chest and been like, what is up?
You can wear your big WWE
guys
belt or something. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. You know it.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I always knew you were nuts. So how nuts are you right now?
I'm a pretty nutsy guy right now, man. You're seeing those almonds right there in front, but it's really been a cool deal. I've had a chance to. I mean, you guys, you've seen me some. I dropped a bunch of weight when I was done, and it truly is one of my favorite little snacks. And so I've used it, especially with travel and all that kind of stuff. It helps just be able to pack them away, and no matter where I'm going, I can eat them. It's been a really good relationship. It's something that I really do believe in, and I've used. And when I decided to drop the weight, I got a plan with my wife, Karen, who's a PT, and she helped me with the nutritional program. And, we just kind of set it up, man, and that has been a fantastic snack. And so I'm just trying to encourage other folks to do it and use it.
I think it's pretty cool. Most guys, when they retire, don't have these kinds of opportunities. But did this just kind of fall in your lap, or what, Jeff?
Yeah, I think when people started seeing how much weight I had dropped as early, I had a bunch of different people call me and ask me what I was doing. And I just told honestly, I just told all of them, listen, at the end of the day, this has just been a diet issue. I mean, you think about how many calories I consumed while I was playing, and I knew that how much exercise and how much I was burning, that wasn't going to keep happening. And so when I sat down and kind of mapped it out, when I knew I was going to retire, I just put it on. And Jim and I both know, guys usually get fit or they get fat. There's no real in between because we're so conditioned to eat. We're conditioned to pound food and to keep stacking weight and doing those things, knowing that we need it. And so when it finally does end, it takes a commitment to change the way you've eaten and change the way that you've looked at food. And so I had to find some ways to satiate my diet, and again, that's where the nuts came in. And obviously, that's not the only thing. I mean, I take like the Jack Link's beef sticks with me, and I take some cheeses at different times, but just something that'll satiate me when I'm having a snack, and then I choose higher protein and those kinds of things when I'm sitting down to eat. But all of that combined with just normal exercise has really helped me in a big way.
Jeff, you always hear horror stories about players who've played a long time and either good or were marginal, and they've had a really hard time transitioning to life after football. How's that been for you?
It's up and down. I mean, I think that I have probably had an easier transition than most guys. Getting picked up with ESPN as quickly as I did definitely helped. And the other thing too, Mike, I mean, you and I talked for many years. Is I kind of knew that I was coming to the end. This was not a surprise for me, and so I wasn't trying to keep hanging on. I mean, I had another year in Green Bay that I just walked away from just because I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I realized, hey, listen, it's not what it was for me anymore. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to risk being hurt. And so I was at a different transition point. When guys get pushed out of the league kind of against their will, and they don't really have an opportunity, whether it be through injury or they just don't get picked up because of dollars, whatever that is. I didn't really have to battle that. I kind of walked away, when I knew it was time for me to go. And that was very fortunate for me. Most guys don't get that opportunity. But even with that, there are some Sundays when I miss it, and I look at it and go, man, it'd be a lot of fun to run back out there, or you see guys and knowing what's going to happen on that plane ride home and the fun after you have a big win on the road, or what goes on in the locker room afterwards, just the camaraderie of it all. There are some days that it's tougher, but when I think back to the grind of it and the monotony of it, each day, it was time for me to be done. And so, from my standpoint, that has helped. I wasn't playing at the level I wanted to anymore. And I was fortunate to have the career I did, and I didn't want to keep pushing it and end up hurting myself because I was trying to stretch something that just wasn't there anymore.
For the most part, you have your health?
Yeah, I feel really good. I run, jog, not run, but I jog, can jog, 4 miles and at a clip, and I enjoy that. I exercise just about every day of some sort, whether it be a lift or a run or a walk or something. And honestly, I have not had many issues. There are certain days where my shoulders hurt, from the beating I took on those, or my back will be sore some days, but I would say 99% of the time I feel really good. And I think, again, a lot of that I attribute back to the weight loss, because I know when I was leaving Green Bay, I was not feeling good. My toe was killing me. My shoulder was bothering me, my thumb. So there were different things that were going on that I did not, that I was concerned with. It really haven't plagued me to this point.
Hey, you know what? My back hurts actually from carrying you on our postgame show for all those years that we did it on Channel 6. So, I'm right there with you.
Hey.
There's no doubt about that. You just strapped me on and towed it away. You can fire workers' comp. Send it to my attorney. I'll take care of it.
All right.
Hey, Jeff, it's Sorge. Enough about you. How's Karen? How's the kids? How's the move been down south? Is everything going good? Everything going all right?
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. It's been really good. We had a really nice time with the family. We had everybody over for Thanksgiving, and yeah, it's been a really, really good time for us. You know that both my parents and Karen's parents will live down here, and all of our siblings. So being able to see nieces, nephews, cousins, sisters, brothers, all those kinds of things have been really nice for us. Good. And as much as we love Indy, we still come up there quite a bit. I've been up there quite a few times, whether it be to speak or to do different functions, or our charity with People's Burn Foundation, whatever it is. We've been up there quite a bit. I still love it. I got nothing but the greatest memories for Indy and Carmel in those areas. And so, we miss our friends, but ultimately we knew we needed to be near grandparents for our kids, just for the long haul.
Jeff, you were there for Peyton during the early years. What comparisons do you see between Peyton and Andrew Luck?
Well, I think as you look at their style, they're definitely they're different in the way that they view the game. Andrew, he's going to use his athleticism a great deal, whereas Peyton was going to try to beat you with his mind. He was going to try to use his Caden's understanding that he knew he wasn't as fleet of foot, or he didn't want to get hit in that way. And so he spent a lot of time about learning to pick it up blitzes and figuring out different checks and that kind of thing, throwing high, as opposed to where Luck is in his game. Andrew knows that he can stand in that pocket. And he's a big man, but he's taken some significant shots early in his career. So I think from style they're a little bit different, but I think their love for the game, the way that they look at their teammate and try to put their teammates up and get the very most out of those guys. I think that you can compare them in that way. I think that you look at Andrew's numbers. The guy's unbelievable. He's going to be the face of the NFL for many, many years, and you can see that in his game. But I think as you look at just who he is as a man, just humility he carries in the locker room and post game, very few guys are as humble or hold themselves to that kind of level of accountability. And I think that's similar to Peyton as well. You know, Peyton would call himself, hey, look, I didn't play as well as I should have. I think Andrew does that, and I think that is what unites his team behind him so often, is that he's willing to take it on his shoulders. I respect the heck out of the way that he plays the game, man. Just hanging out with him in preseason for a little bit, I got all the respect in the world for him. And it's this guy that the sky is the limit, and you'd never know it by talking to him. I mean, he's a hard-working guy that puts the time in, and you're excited about what he's going to do.
It's amazing how it's all kind of, in a bizarre fashion, has worked out both for 18 moving on to Denver, and the Colts picking up a guy by the name of Andrew Luck, and you see the future of the NFL right in this kid's heart and the way he plays. You've got an interesting story. When you were with the Packers for that one season, you guys came back to Lucas Oil Stadium and play, and that was right when Chuck Pagano was dealing with leukemia. And I believe that was the first game that he was out. And Jeff, you told me that you knew going into the game that there's no way you guys were going to win that game just because of the emotions that were filling up Lucas Oil Stadium that afternoon.
Yeah, you just felt it. I mean, you know, it was palpable. I mean, you know, you're walking in this stadium and you can feel the energy. And I had played for Bruce Arians early in my career, so I knew what kind of motivator he is. I mean, this guy can get you ready to put your head through a wall, you know, and so I knew as what was going to go on in their locker room, they were going to be fired up and intense. Honestly, I was shocked that we jumped out to a big lead, and so we kind of put it in cruise control a little bit, thinking that, you know, we could grind it out. But you know, the Colts are a never say die team, and that was the kind of the first week you really saw it. I mean, you know, those guys were not going to quit; they were going to continue to battle, and. But yeah, you just had a feeling by the way this team is, the excitement. They're young enough to believe. You know, as you get older, you get a little more salty. You know, you realize when you're down 21 or something, all right, it's probably not going to work out. They still thought, you know, we make some plays, and you know, we did some things from the Packers standpoint that we shot ourselves in the foot. But ultimately, those guys made the plays, and when you watched them, you know, you just felt that momentum. And then, you know, we missed field goals. We did, like I said, did things. But I tell you, man, that was the hardest game I ever played. Just emotionally, it was hard. Walking off and shaking hands with guys when I was finally done, and the fans and when they played the video, it was just was an emotional afternoon. You know, that was a tough grind for me. And you know, any time you part ways on a good note, it makes it even harder when you got to come back and face somebody. And that's where the situation I was in. So but yeah, man, this team, you saw it that day, and you continue to see it. They're not going to quit. No matter what the score is, they're going to keep battling until the end.
Well, that kind of leads me into my next question. Well, I mean, they're sitting at 8-4 right now. You know, we go to Cleveland, we get Houston at home, go to Dallas, go to Tennessee. The knock is we can't beat the higher echelon teams in the AFC right now. Your Patriots, your Broncos. You know, we lose to a good Philadelphia team. But we beat the teams we should. So we'll get in the playoffs, but we won't be able to go far. What's your assessment of the team in terms of that? I mean, you study them, you analyze them. Can we move, not only get in the playoffs, which I think we will because we'll win the South, but move on, move further?
Yeah, I mean, here's what you saw. I mean, I think last night when you watched Green Bay, or yesterday afternoon when you watched Green Bay and the Patriots, is, you know, the Patriots do exactly what everybody said. They're going to try to take away Jordy Nelson. They're going to take away Randall Cobb. They're going to make you try to beat them with other players. You just got to be willing to do it. I mean, you have to trust that the other guys on your team are going to be there to make plays when necessary. And I think as you look at the Colts and the formula for what they do, they have the explosiveness on offense to put points up. They got to trust that their defense can do it when it counts. But I see this team, especially you can get that run game going. I mean, you saw Boom. You know, you have to get that part established. It doesn't matter how good you are if you're one-dimensional, facing either Jack Del Rio with the Broncos, either defensive coordinator, or Belichick and their defensive scheme. If you're only one-dimensional and they're not afraid that you're going to just ride it home and be able to run it and grind it, it's going to be a tough day. because those guys can stack defenses as well as anybody. Jim, you and I both know they'll rush 3 and drop 8 all night long and make you earn it and make you do something you're not comfortable doing to win the game. I think when you're talking about the Colts, can they do that? They absolutely can. They have all the talent in play. I think their line has played better. I was excited to see that. I think they've done a better job up front and given them, if Andrew continues to play within himself and not try to force the ball, not try to make plays and feel like he has to win everything by himself, I think this team is poised to do some good things in the AFC. I think that, you look at what they have, it'll tell you a lot. And like you said, you have to beat the teams you're supposed to. I mean, you can't help what division you're in. So the AFC South is not strong. We all know that. So they should run. But when you have teams that you got to beat them, and then you focus in once the playoffs start at who you're going to face first, and then take them out one at a time.
Once again, you're watching Week 13 of Horseplay, and it's great to have on the phone lines the former center, a longtime center for the Indianapolis Colts, Jeff Saturday, who, by the way, also works for ESPN, our friends up in Bristol. And the last thing, Jeff, before we cut you loose here, I mean, the Colts are getting ready to take on Cleveland. You've got this quarterback issue now in Cleveland that I'm guessing the folks in Bristol might play up just a little bit this week, and Johnny Manziel and Brian Hoyer. What do you make of what's going on in Cleveland? And I guess if there's a great time to play the Cleveland Browns, this might be it if you're a Colts fan.
Yeah, you don't think people in Bristol are going to want to play a lot of Johnny Manziel tape to get people excited? Maybe.
Maybe.
Are you saying they instigate stories? I cannot comment on that. No, but here's the deal. As a fan of the game, that the Browns ultimately want Johnny Manziel to have this job.
Sure.
I mean, there is no doubt. When they drafted in the first round, this was their plan all along. Now, when it was going to take effect, you really never know. But they wanted that guy to be it. I know he had some issues in training camp, showing up late or whatever, and all the stuff off the field that people were concerned with. But as you're looking at it, this is a 7-win team with Hoyer at the helm. So, I know he didn't have a great day yesterday and had had a great game in the past couple, but you're still 7 games and you're in the playoff hunt, and you're going to face opponents where they're playoff caliber teams. It's going to be tougher for a rookie to win than a guy who's a veteran and has played these games. So, I understand that they're frustrated with what happened, but I think that you got to be cautious in just making a change. All of a sudden. Now, Johnny Manziel can potentially do it. Yeah, I mean, like anybody else. Heck, I'd love to see him play and see what he can do. But from their standpoint, I think, like you said, you go face the Colts. You better know who you are, and it's going to be hard to know who you are when you're putting a brand new quarterback in there. So, as you're looking at it and processing it through the week, I think you give your you make it more difficult to beat a sound football team like Indianapolis. Bringing in a new guy, just hoping something sparks your offense.
Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for your time. We always knew Jeff Saturday was nuts. Yep. This proves it. Congratulations on the deal with California Almonds, and next time you're in town, make sure you say hi to us, okay?
I'll do it, man. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a great one.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great to talk to Jeff Saturday. I could talk for hours with Jeff.
Oh, he's great. If anybody had positioned themselves for life after football, it was Jeff.
Well,
he networked really well, and he's well spoken.
He did it without trying to do it. I mean, his handling of the CBA and all that stuff, the lockout, was truly professional. And I think he made a lot of friends throughout that process. He handled it the right way, and I think that kind of, just threw him into this life after football, and that he was created for. I mean, this is. If he's not playing football, this is what he's supposed to be doing.
There's that image of him and
Robert Kraft
hugging.
But it was genuine. It wasn't he was like, I'm going to hug this guy because it's going to make me look good.
Nice photo op, and it'll be other. Yeah. No, and that's what makes those special moments. Is it was just it was sincere and it was genuine, and that's something I think both of them.
You talk to him for 5 minutes, and you feel like he's your best friend.
Right. Yeah, and he does that with everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah, everyone. All right, real quickly, Colts, Browns, Sunday. You like the horseshoes in this?
I like the horseshoes, and if the Colts win and Houston loses, but they're Jacksonville, the Colts clinch the South.
Yeah.
So it could happen, or it happens the next week if you beat. But again, this is a game that you go and win, no matter who the quarterback is. You don't let the rookie come in and do something squirrely, and you take care of Hoyer if he's in there. This is the game you should win.
Yeah, this could be a T-shirt and hat game.
T-shirt and hat game. You gotta love the T-shirt and hat games.
Do you still have your?
I got all my stuff.
Do you now?
Oh yeah. I got all
You're
my
a hoarder?
stuff.
Are you a hoarder?
No, man. Why wouldn't I keep that stuff? We
I'd
did win.
keep
But there'd be
Absolutely.
so much of it.
We
That
did
there
win
was
it
a-
like
Are they
7
hanging
years.
neatly, or are they in a closet?
No, they're in a box.
Okay.
They're in a box. I got the footballs kind of on the wall, AFC South champs and stuff like that, along with my.
They're in a box that
The first
don't,
touchdown pass.
don't
you
throw
got
away.
that ball?
No, I
Oh.
didn't, because it was
What?
weird.
Was it Marvin? It was Marvin, wasn't
I
it?
threw it to Marv on a slant, and it ended up being a 50th touchdown of combined.
At Denver? Where was it?
It was at Denver, so Peyton threw 49. I had 1, so it ended up being 50, and it disappeared on me. The football disappeared
Marvin
on me.
knows people.
Yeah, I
He
guess.
can make
And then I threw
football
one to Reggie later on in the game, and that ball disappeared on me. I'm like, guys, we're going to have to start getting the starters out of the game, getting these young guys in so I can control what they do. So.
Marvin's got a nice set of luggage made out of footballs.
He
so it's
told us
probably-
once and he was serious. He was going to have all the footballs. It was 128
Yeah.
made into like a sofa and love seat.
There you go.
And he probably has.
a lot
You
of
walk,
pigskin right there.
you walk into a man cave. Who's going to top that, right? Great to see you guys. Have a great week, too. It is week 13 of Horseplay. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're back live next Monday, live at Palomino. The great folks here setting up with coffee and now nuts.
Nuts.
You're sucking up now is all you're doing.
Dude, they're pretty good.
I know what they are.
He wants 10% of the gig now.
And you can't beat the price, can you?
I can lose a couple pounds there,
For Mike Chappell, Jim Sorgi, I'm Dave Furst. Thanks to Michael Grady, Jeff Saturday as well. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see what happens Sunday at 1 o'clock. Colts and Browns up in Cleveland.